Analysis of Cheslin Kolbe's return to the Stormers. This is not just rugby, but a journey back home.
Cheslin Kolbe's return to the Stormers is not simply a rugby signing. To me, it feels like a full emotional circle of a man who has travelled far, only to ultimately want to return to the place that shaped his identity. In modern sport, especially at the professional level, stories about loyalty are increasingly rare. Players moving teams for salary, trophies, personal opportunities or career ambition is completely normal. That is why, when I heard Kolbe admit that he had always thought he would return to Cape Town one day, I felt that this was not just a professional decision, but a calling from the heart. What made me think the most was the way Kolbe spoke about family, home, and his connection with the Stormers. He did not speak much about money, benefits, or star status. Instead, he emphasized the feeling of returning to where he belongs, in an era where athlete statements are often carefully crafted for media purposes. This kind of honesty feels rare. I believe fans love Kolbe not only for his speed or skill, but because they see in him someone who has never forgotten his roots. From John Dobson's comments, I better understood why this signing has deeply moved the Stormers community. He did not only talk about technical ability. He spoke about inspiration, work ethic, and symbolic value. That matters a lot. In sport, some players win matches, but others create belief. Kolbe seems to belong to the second group. He makes fans believe that anything is possible with a burst of acceleration, a change of direction, or a moment of brilliance. Players like that do not come around often. I was particularly struck by the fact that the Stormers are not only building a team for the present, but also looking toward a 2029 project. This shows they do not see Kolbe as a short-term marketing signing. They want him to be part of the team's culture. A player still considered central to a long-term plan at 34 years old shows his value goes far beyond the technical side alone. It reflects experience, professionalism, and influence on younger players. The more I reflect, the more I feel Kolbe's return carries meaning beyond rugby. It reflects something very human, no matter how far people go or how successful they become. Many still want to return to where they were first believed in. Cape Town is not just where Kolbe once played, but where he built his identity before stepping onto the global stage. Perhaps that is why his return does not feel like a step backwards, but like completing a journey. I think this is also a very important lesson for myself. Sometimes we focus too much on going far and achieving more, and forget the value of where we started. Success does not always mean cutting ties with the past. On the contrary, true maturity is being able to go far while still maintaining gratitude for one's roots. Kolbe succeeded in France, proved his class in Japan, became a world champion with the Springboks, yet still sees the Stormers as part of who he is. That alone creates a huge difference between being a star and being a symbol. Another thing that stood out to me is Kolbe's sense of responsibility. He mentioned wanting to contribute on and off the field. This shows he understands his role in the community. When an athlete reaches a high level of influence, they no longer represent only themselves. They become a source of inspiration for young people, fans, and aspiring players. I appreciate how the Stormers and Dobson emphasized his professionalism and character. At the elite level, talent makes you stand out, but discipline is what sustains excellence over time. That is probably why this return feels more meaningful than many other transfers. It is not a typical, blockbuster signing that people talk about for a few days and then forget. It is a story with emotional depth. Stormers fans watched Kolbe grow, saw him conquer the world, and now get to see him wear their colors again. That is the kind of story that makes sport special, because it is tied to memory and shared emotion. However, it is also important to be objective. Every return comes with pressure. Expectations on Kolbe will be high. When a player is seen as an icon, every performance is scrutinized. Age is also a practical factor. While 34 is not necessarily old in modern rugby, maintaining speed and physical intensity on the wing is not easy. But the Stormers likely understand this better than anyone. They are not just signing his legs, but also his fighting spirit and influence. Many people will view this move through a commercial lens, especially with sponsors and business interests involved. That is fair, because professional sport is always linked to business. But focusing only on that would miss the most important emotional layer. No one can fake sincerity for years. What Kolbe has said suggests this is something he has genuinely wanted for a long time. And in rugby or sport in general, sometimes that feeling alone is enough to connect with fans. The presence of Siya Kolisi alongside Kolbe also makes me feel the Stormers are trying to build more than just a strong squad. They are building identity. Players who have succeeded at the highest level returning to guide younger generations create long-term value. This is especially valuable in a world where many teams focus only on short-term results. A strong team needs not only stars, but also people who pass on culture.
From a personal perspective, I really like the image of an athlete who, after years of traveling the world, chooses to return rather than chase bigger overseas contracts. It reminds me of how many people feel in life. After enough success and challenges, what they ultimately seek is belonging. Some places are not perfect, but they feel peaceful because that is where you can simply be yourself. I also think fans can take a beautiful lesson from this story. Sport is not only about winning and losing. What people remember most are the emotional bonds between players and communities. A player may score many points and win many titles, but without a real connection with fans, it is hard to become a true legend in people's hearts. Kolbe seems to understand this. He is not just returning to play, but also to continue building his relationship with the place that supported him from the beginning.
For me personally, this story is a reminder that the greatest value of success is not how others see your position, but whether you maintain gratitude and your original identity. Some people become more distant from their roots as they become more famous. Others grow to understand more clearly where home truly is. Kolbe seems to be the second type, which is why his story resonates so strongly. I do not know what the future holds for the Stormers, nor how many more magical moments Kolbe will create. Sport is harsh and nothing is guaranteed. But sometimes the value of a signing is not only measured in trophies. It is measured in inspiration. Just the fact that a world-class player chooses to return to serve his home team is enough to motivate many young people chasing their dreams. In the end, what stays with me most is a rare sense of warmth in the highly competitive world of professional sport. Cheslin Kolbe does not return as a stranger hired to play. He returns as part of the Stormers' memory, as a symbol of Cape Town, and as proof that sometimes the best journey is not the one that takes you furthest away, but the one that brings you back to where your heart has always been.
Thank you for following Kolbe and the Stormers' story. Don't forget to subscribe to support the channel.